Let me introduce my guest joining us on the broadcast this evening, Shaina NC, spokesperson of the Shiv Sena, Charan Singh Sapra, Congress spokesperson, Meghna Pant, who's an author and a Mumbaikar, and Seema Malik, who's the spokesperson of NCP-SP. Meghna, I want to begin this debate with you to really understand, when you heard of this incident, what were your first thoughts? Just as another Mumbaikar, to know that, okay, such negligence keeps on happening and we as Mumbaikars will move on. Or that fear that I am unsafe, anybody who's out there is unsafe given the amount of construction work that is happening on the roads.
Absolutely. But this is the bane of all mega cities. And today we've seen another pillar collapse in the name of development and lives lost. But before the dust settles, we'll hear this familiar language, right? Tragic mishap, an unfortunate incident, an inquiry has been ordered. But when similar events are repeating year after year, like Groundhog Day, the question becomes unavoidable. At what point do we start calling these accidents murder and systemic negligence that feels like fate? Less like fate and more like preventable death. So I refuse to accept as a Mumbai girl that human lives have to be sacrificed at the altar of progress. But here's the other fact. The data that we're seeing now is not historical. It's painfully current, right? Even in the previous years, we've seen structural collapses, not just in Mumbai, but across India. 9,000 people are killed. That's roughly 5 deaths every day as the cost of infrastructure development. Like in the last 4 years itself, 170 bridges have collapsed nationwide, leading to more than 200 deaths. So, what we're seeing is this broader accidental death statistics that are, painting a very, very grim picture. And I think in Mumbai, because it's an urban center, there's such high development, there's a disproportionately high fertility rate and because of the pace of development. So what we have to understand is that these are not isolated tragedies, but these are a pattern. And if you look at buildings collapsing, or if you look at, say, bridges collapsing nationwide, infrastructure failures, from railway construction collapses to what we saw in Delhi the last couple of weeks. So this is an India problem, and I think what we need to do is just change the system and hold who is actually accountable, till beyond the levels and layers of bureaucracy.
All right, I also want to bring in Shaina NC at this point, particularly to highlight, ma'am, how BJP MLA from Mulund himself said that it looked problematic. It had been flagged. There could have been a mishap, but nothing was done about it. He himself has said that the supervisor was not there at the time that the pillar was being installed by the labourer, and there were serious lapses that occurred on every step. Your own man, your public representative, who was not heard, then how is the common man expected to be heard?
So, firstly, condolences to the deceased and the survivors, all of whom belong to Uttar Pradesh and Jaunpur. Ramdan Yadav had come to Mumbai as a tourist, whilst the others, Bablu Yadav and Mahendra Yadav, have sustained injuries at the incident. I think that we as citizens and as the political class, it starts if we acknowledge that a mistake has been committed and this is an accident. What one saw in Mulund as the crushing of the auto rickshaw is part of a killing of a larger incident, which is where are safety measures? And that is something that our party, Shiv Sena, will definitely raise in the House, raise as our leader, Eknath Shinde, and the Honorable Chief Minister has also issued a statement. And I do agree that we cannot attach a price to the lives lost. But do understand, if at 12:20 on a busy road of LBS Road outside Johnson and Johnson, which is for all of us Mumbaikars that know that, when there is a cement structure and there is a construction, and if there is an accident such as this, it's bound to be fatal. So I do appreciate the fact that introspection and to make sure systems are in place, lacunas are not left. I can give a big political spin here, but I don't want to, because as a Mumbaikar, I can understand the pain. I can understand, the kind of tragedy that this family is going through, because they came to Mumbai for what? As just tourists, and look at what happened. The Mumbai Fire Brigade, the local police, the metro authorities, the ward staff, the 108 ambulance service all rushed on the spot, and relief operations did take place. But having said that, I don't think it's sufficient. Heads need to roll, and our demand will be that we get to the bottom of this, and the inquiry suggests how we can do away with these kind of accidents in the days to come.
And I don't think there is scope for any political words here if that really was the case. But I want to take this to Mr. Charan Singh Sapra, also to say that this is not a standalone incident, this is not a standalone problem. It's been years, and the sort of life that literally Mumbaikars have to lead. Rains happen every year, there is waterlogging, there are pothole deaths, there are construction work happening literally everywhere, roads are dug up, traffic paralysis, crumbling infrastructure, and despite that, promises are made every year to say that no, we will deal with these problems, we will reduce these problems. Every time the elections come and it is said that no, when there is change in power and when we come into power, we will do it. But you know, all these are mere words, nothing is translating on the ground.
See, in the beginning, I would like to say that I live in Mulund, and the incident which has happened is just 200 meters away from my residence. It was a very sad situation, very sad incident to happen. My condolence to the person deceased, and my wishes with the family members who are injured. Let me tell you, there is one family member which is even more serious. Maybe his one leg may be amputated. So this is the kind of situation which is there in Mulund right now. As far as this incident is concerned, I would like to say that this is a man-made disaster. This is not an accident. This is a institutional negligence. This is a failure of governance. It's a failure of supervision. It is a failure of accountability also. Now, these developments cannot turn into death sentence, or they cannot turn into death traps. Somebody has to take the responsibility. Somebody has to be accountable. Merely just putting a 5 crore fine on the contractor or 1 crore fine on the consultant is not going to work. There should be a bureaucratic accountability. There should be a political accountability. Until and unless there are bureaucratic accountabilities or political accountabilities, these incidents are not going to stop. Let me tell you that in Mumbai there is a lot of construction going on. And let me also remind you that during the rainfall, the metro stations were, flooded, the newly built metro stations. So the kind of construction which the contractors are doing, or which the supervision of Mahayuti government is going on, there's a big question mark. And let me also remind you, there was a bridge collapse, a CST footover bridge in 2019. There was 6 people had died. What accountability? What action the government has taken? There was one more bridge collapse. A slab had collapsed in Andheri East Gokhale Bridge. No accountability. These are mere lip services which the ruling party, the Mahayuti government, is always giving. Let me also remind you the bridge which collapsed in Latur or in Nagpur, a slab had collapsed. Also, let me remind you what happened in Gujarat. 130 people died. Morbi bridge collapse, if you remember. No accountability. What has happened to that person who was looking after that contract? Let me put you to Bhagalpur bridge collapse. Let me put you to Delhi bridge collapse. Let me remind you of 12 bridges in Bihar under this BJP and Nitish Kumar government. 12 bridges in 17 days had collapsed. This is the kind of situation
I want
in
to keep this discussion
under the
Mumbai-centric
BJP-ruled
over what has happened today because of that metro pillar collapse, and which is why I'd also like to bring in Seema Malik to share her point of view on this, because I completely agree with you, Mr. Charan Singh Sapra, that the consequences need to be bigger, and there needs to be a sense of fear within our political figures, within the bureaucrats, to know that they will also be held accountable. This will not just be action that will be restricted to the contractors or the consulting firm. This is how they get away, by imposing fines, and then nobody really comes out to it to take responsibility and then own up that a life is lost. 5 lakh rupees to the kin, is that enough? Will that life come back? No. Okay, I'll come to Shaina NC, but let me take this to Seema Malik first. Yes, yes, ma'am.
I want to say what this is very unfortunate what has happened, and first of all, my condolences to the family of the person who lost his life, and I'm wishing a speedy recovery to the injured. And see, this MMDRA has RD has ordered an inquiry, and there is a CM has ordered a compensation of 5 lakhs rupees. And I don't know what to say. There's no accountability of any person here. And this is really unfortunate. These things goes on happening, especially in the BJP regime. We have seen whether it is Maharashtra or Uttar Pradesh, we have seen, in a few days back only, we have seen, the bikes are falling in the pit and the car falling. Yeah, I remember the incidents of the Yuvraj in the Uttar Pradesh, who was
Ma'am, but
calling
just
for
by
the help.
pointing fingers at the BJP is not going to find a larger answer to this issue. Fact is, yes, that these problems, these incidents are being reported
The main thing is that there is
pan
no
India.
accountability is fixed. There is no accountability is fixed, whether
But
whether it is
I am
any
talking about Mumbai over here,
But-
and I am saying that in Mumbai there have been changing governments, changing alliances of what we've seen in the past decade. Which party
And there
or
is no
which alliance or
accountability
which
is
government
fixed. This
has
is the main
taken
thing.
responsibility
Just asking a
of the
contractor-
recurring problems in Mumbai?
Ma'am, in the Mumbai, I talked about the Mumbai only, but frankly, there's no accountability is fixed. There's, just asking for few crores rupees, from a contractor, they will give the contract to the same person. I know that. And so this is very unfortunate what is happening. They will, generally, most of the time, a small person is, blamed for this, all these things, maybe a small junior engineer or somebody else. So this is the main thing. There is no accountability is
Okay.
fixed. Nothing is,
Okay. Let me take this to
Uh,
Shaina NC. You wanted to make a point quickly, Shaina NC?
See, we are all Mumbaikars. We are all heartbroken when one hears of an incident such as this. Nobody should lose life. But the Honorable Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has ordered a probe in the incident. He's announced an ex gratia of 5 lakhs for the family of the deceased and the cost of the treatment for the people who have been injured too. I don't think this is sufficient. However, having said that, heads will roll because the MMRDA, that's the Mumbai Metropolitan Region Development Authority, which is overseeing this project, has also monitored and has to have this kind of a survey done for all areas of contention. This is not just about Mulund. Please understand there are lots of places where metro construction is going on, and if death of even one person, I think is
But there
sufficient
have
to
been several
express
deaths,
grief,
Shaina NC,
and
and
there
fact is that the people of Mumbai are voting for you. They are not voting for the contractor. They are not voting
No,
for the consultancy
absolutely.
firm. So it is your
Absolutely.
job and the
Yes.
MMRDA following your
Yes.
directives. So you are the ones who are supposed to give out
Yes.
the answers on who's responsible, and there
Yes.
should be larger accountability on this.
Yes, you're absolutely correct, and there's no shying away from it. But the contractors who are negligent will be blacklisted. I mean, value of life is value of a citizen of Bharat. And yes, heads
Can
will
I add
roll.
something?
And please do understand this is not
Yes,
a
yes,
political
quickly make your
issue.
point, because
It's
I
an
also want to take the
accident.
next
So I
question
think
to
we need to
Meghna.
treat safety as a system also and not a slogan.
Okay,
Let's
Mr. Charan
remember
Singh
that-
Sapra.
I appreciate Shaina. Yeah, I appreciate
ahead.
Shaina saying that heads are definitely going to roll, but we haven't seen heads rolling when the CST mishap happened. We haven't seen the heads rolling. Now, I'll give you one clear example of Meethi River, corruption in Meethi River. It happened last year or year before that also. The inquiry is going on.
During
The
Okay.
companies are
Okay.
blacklisted.
Okay,
But the
I'm
same
very
companies
short
have
on
changed the
time.
name.
I'm
The
very
same
short on
companies have
time.
changed the
Charan
name
Singh
and
Sapra
taken a
and
new
Shaina
contract.
NC, I'm very short on
The
time, and I
same
really want to
companies
take
which
this
were
last question.
blacklisted have changed the
Okay,
name and
sir,
taken new
I
contract.
really want to take this last question to Meghna Pant, who's with us on the broadcast, only to ask you one
You don't
question,
want to
Meghna, as a
listen to the
Mumbaikar. So I'm
Yes.
very short on time, and I want to hear the Mumbaikar right now on this
Yes.
broadcast to say that had a VVIP been sitting in that car, would it have passed off in a 5 lakh rupee compensation? It is the
Not
city
at all,
of Mumbai.
Not at all. And actually, that's the point I want to make. We're seeing this problem across the globe. And what we really need and India needs is overall is a structural change in how we're treating victims' families. We need a national infrastructure risk fund if you're going to go towards progression and development. Allocate a small percentage, even 1 or 2% from every infrastructure budget, which runs into thousands of crores, by the way. Put it in a centralized safety fund, and compensation needs to be automatic and immediate. So
Okay.
families such as this
Okay.
receive immediate
I do-
financial support within days. So,
Okay.
don't ensure the justice is done without prolonging suffering. I think that's what
I do
we really
apologize to my guests if I may not have been able to give you enough time to speak, but there is only that stipulated time that we have on the show.
Right.
But it has been wonderful listening from all of you. And however, the fact that we must hold our heads in shame, because fact is that a life is lost, and to go on with the political bickering is really not the solution. There has to be a long-term view to this, to understand that we have to make life better for Mumbaikars. These problems happen year on year, but no holistic view that our politicians are really looking at to solve these problems. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.